Well, hello everyone, and welcome to MACAE, the Michigan Adult Community and Alternative Education Association's Member Profile Series. This is our video series highlighting the wonderful work of members of our association, professional administrators, teachers, support staff, in adult community and alternative education. I'm Patrick Brown, Executive Director. A reminder that you can watch these videos on our website at www.macae.org, MACAE.org, or on our social media pages at MACAE Today, MACAE Today. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our guests for today's wonderful session, Dikea Riley, who's the Deputy Executive Director at Detroit Public Schools Community District and oversees all aspects of the programming of the adult education program. So welcome, Dikea, to the program.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me tell our audience a little bit, remind them. We launched this video series about a year ago to highlight the work of all of you in the field because of the responsibilities you have, because of the investments that you make on a daily basis in education, and to really explore adult alternative community education, which really a lot of folks don't know a lot about. So those that are listening will describe a little bit about the work that you do. We'll talk about your program and some of the program offerings you had. But first, let's start with yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about your educational experience. And then maybe talk a little bit about how you found your way into adult education. I know many of us who start out in the education field we didn't maybe really recognize that this was a space that we might end up in. And some of us have taken interesting paths to get here. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Okay, so I've been with Detroit Public Schools Community District for 25 years. I have had various roles in my journey here. So I started off as a high school math teacher at Southeastern High School, and I thought I would always be in the classroom. But I had awesome leadership at the time, and her name was Brenda Gatlin, who encouraged her staff to set higher goals. And one day she came to me, she said, "You know what, I really want to see you in administration." And I thought about it. I was like, I don't know, this is the right timing. But I never forgot what she said to me. And so I eventually, pursued my ed leadership cert, and had it in my back pocket, that credential, but never really acted on it. And at the time, many of our high schools had transitioned into the Education Achievement Authority, the EAA. So I had to make a decision as to where I would like to go next in my career. And so I applied for a position as a mathematics instructional specialist at Central Office. And I was there almost 5 years. Then I had an opportunity to interview for an assistant principal's position at a K-8 school. And so I was lucky enough, I got the position. I worked there for 3 years and then transitioned to the DPSCD charter school office, where I worked as the deputy executive director. And then from there, I transitioned to do some project management work in our Office of School Nutrition, which was a different experience for me, but very rewarding, because it happened at a time where we were about to embark into a pandemic. And so our office, the Office of School Nutrition, was very, very critical in making sure that the families receive nutritional food during that time where it was so much uncertainty going on. And it was really a pleasure to work with that team, because they were awesome with managing that, around the clock, making sure that all of our sites was providing meals to our students, as well as our medically fragile students, our ESE populations. We had buses that would transport food to them. So it was really, really great work that was going on at the time. And then from there, I found my way to adult ed. I think I have to credit that to Dr. Jendai Gardner, because she reached out and asked, would I be interested in that position? And so looked into it, and here I am. We had served alongside her in January of 2021 to really bring forth the vision of our adult ed program with DPSCD.
Wow, that's fantastic. I didn't know all of those different positions that you held, and I don't want to speak for you, but one of the themes, getting to know you and working closely with you over the last couple of years, but just also reiterated in the themes of your education is really the whole student perspective that you bring to your leadership, and coming from a classroom setting where you were working on a daily basis with students to then moving into working with families, and then working like you did in a administrative capacity and working with instructional staff, into where it's led you to head where it's led you now. I just see that being such a vast amount of experience um, that you bring in your leadership. So thank you for sharing that. I just this wonderful career that you've had, and wonderful opportunities that you brought that have led you to this position. So, and a special shout out to Dr. Gardner. That was very nice as well. Another one of our fellow MACAE members. So you've had a wonderful experience, and thank you for sharing that. Tell us a little bit about your program, and tell us about the student populations that you serve, the program offerings that you have. Tell us about your staff that you have there. Just give us the feel for what it's like to be at DPSCD Adult Education.
Okay, well, let me start with the staff. I must say that the adult ed team at DPSCD is awesome. I have the privilege of working with some phenomenal educators who have been in the adult ed space a lot longer than I have. And what's so phenomenal about each and every one of them is that they have the passion and the heart for this work. And to see the interactions with their students when I do classroom observations and visits and things, they just love on them so hard and encourage them. And it's just an awesome thing to see. And being, being an educator, it's a work of the heart. And I mean, they go above and beyond. I've seen I've heard of stories where one of our teachers have given a baby shower for one of the students who was expecting. Student Picking up students, taking them on, providing them with cultural experiences, showing them around, just doing those things that are above and beyond to make sure that they have what they need, and that they have a rewarding experience within a program. They come with a wealth of knowledge, and they were very we have a collaborative and a shared leadership here in this program. And so we often, at our professional development staff meetings, we talk about how we want to improve as a provider, and we brainstorm, and we come up with an action plan, and we make sure that we see it through, and we hold one another accountable. So that's the best thing about, and it feels like a family. We laugh, we enjoy, and then sometimes we have to have those tough conversations, because when you're striving to be an exemplary program as we are, we have to have those real conversations, especially as it relates to improving our metrics. So that's it's really been a great pleasure to work with such an awesome team. So shout out to the adult ed teachers.
Absolutely. Now, what about your student population? What kind of students do you serve? How large is your program? And what are some of the program offerings that you have underneath the adult ed program?
Okay, so we offer adult basic education, high school equivalency, high school completion, and English as a second language programs. And so we offer them at different locations throughout the city of Detroit. So our ESL programs are housed inside of DPSCD elementary schools. There's one inside of Priest Elementary and Mayberry Elementary, which is on the southwest side of Detroit. And then we're also in the former Northern High School. And so The students have an opportunity to improve their English language acquisition as well as their citizenship and instruction in the classroom.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful asset, I think, to the community and to the city of Detroit. And one of the things that I hope by doing this video series is that um, citizens and people within the city can recognize that these programs are there, how to access them, and that they're really vital parts of our community, and that they need to be supported and need to be sharing that information. So thank you for telling us about that. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Tell us a little bit about your role. What does a typical day look like? And I say that, and I see you smiling too, because each day in adult education isn't, there's always something different, right? But what are some of the roles and responsibilities, and what are some of the responsibilities that you have?
Okay, so like you said, every day is not the same. I think one thing that's consistent is I start off, trying to check my emails and respond to emails. That is pretty consistent. Outside of that, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. And so one of the things that I is very rewarding is that I interact with the students probably more often than other people who are in my responsibility, who have my responsibility, and other providers, because as the deputy executive director, my primary responsibility at that time was to make sure students remained engaged. So they always would interact with me. So they're accustomed to reaching out to me. So they still do, even though I'm leading the work here in the office. So I speak with students on a regular basis. I'm working with the team to make sure our orientations are running smoothly. Planning as it relates to the budgeting aspect of adult ed. I'm just making sure that we have everything we need in terms of our instructional materials. I interact with our awesome partners at Detroit at Work, because with our other program offerings with adult basic education, the high school equivalency with the GED preparation, and then our high school completion, where the students who are maybe 6 credits or less to earning their high school diploma, that's the pathway that we recommend that they embark upon. Detroit at Work has been a phenomenal partner with us. And the students within our program, they have an opportunity to qualify for what is the Learn to Earn program, where they can earn a stipend while they are receiving or working towards their high school credential. And so it's really, really been a great experience. So we used to have 2 sites in the past. We've had an adult ed East side location and adult ed West side location. So we decentralized that model, and we partnered with Detroit at Work. And so we are now within the community. We have a site on the east side, which is the Durfee Innovation Center. And then there's a site on the east side at 7 Mile and Gratiot area, the Ross Career Center. And then we also have like our hybrid or virtual setting within our adult ed center, which is located on the west side of Detroit in the former CMA high school building, which is also our GED testing center as well.
That's important too, that you provide that service of the community as well. Tell us a little bit about we're coming out of the pandemic, and that certainly impacted programs all across our state. Tell us a little bit about how your program has adapted from that and kind of grown from that, maybe some of the lessons learned. And particularly, I hope that you could share a little bit about our urban centers were really so drastically impacted by COVID, with the numbers that got COVID, the numbers that were, unfortunately passed away from COVID. And I know that it's continued to be a part of that, but could you just talk a little bit about how has your program kind of responded to what happened over the last few years and where it is now?
Yeah, so the pandemic will have forever left an impact on our program. And it has caused us to evolve in a way that I think we're basically have changed forever at this point. Because prior to the program, we've had our enrollment numbers were pretty high. At one year, I think it was 2016, 2017, we had over 1,400 students. And then during the year of the pandemic, the 1920 school year, our enrollment plummeted down to like 400 students. And so that was a significant decrease to our enrollment. And as you know, that really had an impact on our funding as well. And so we've experienced some challenges. As a result, we had to lose staff. And so um, we were on our road to rebuild our program after the
Yeah.
pandemic. So we kept advertising in partnership with our with Detroit at Work. And so we had weekly orientations just to kind of rebuild, get the program out there, encourage them to come back. We implemented COVID protocol at the centers where everyone had to be masked. We spent quite a bit of time, as well as provided them with literature about what to do if they had a positive COVID test, what the protocol is for returning back to class. And technology has been such a blessing because we were able to shift and offer classes virtually through Microsoft Teams, which our students really adapted to. And we also tried to work with those students who had been away from the educational setting for quite some time. And so they would go into the career centers and work with their coaches to get that hands-on, to learn how to best navigate the new technology that, some of them had been away with or had not utilized. And so once they got the hang of it, now fast forwarding to the present, most of our students, like 90% of them, if not 98% of them, prefer to be in a virtual setting.
Oh, wow.
They navigate Microsoft Teams, and even traditionally our ESL population who primarily would come in person, they did not take advantage of the opportunity to utilize the virtual platform. They're now embracing it more. And so, especially on days where, say, if childcare is an issue, or there may be a doctor's appointment or something, it's more convenient to log on virtually, and then they'll attend class as needed. So, or when it's a more convenient time. So it's kind of a hybrid approach, and it has worked well for us, and it has allowed us to build our enrollment back up, because this program year that we just completed, our enrollment was up to 903 is what we finished the year with. 913.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. And I just so appreciate you sharing that about that innovation and leading into it, and really being an exemplary model of what it can mean to help our learners. One of the things that we always talk about, those of us in this field, is that along the way to helping our learners get the credential and transition to post-secondary employment, there's so many other skills that we're helping them navigate and to earn. And you just mentioned so many: financial literacy and digital literacy, navigating community resources, and how that can benefit them in their lives, and many of them being parents, and the challenges that they have with children, and finding childcare access, and all of those responsibilities. And I think that's just such a adult education brings such an asset to so many communities in that way, that it's 90% of, I think probably you would agree, and your teachers, of what we do is all of that. And then there's also the instruction that's also happening, and the teaching that's happening on a daily basis. So thank you and you having that vision to support your teachers, and having that vision to support that as a community resource, I think is such an asset to the city of Detroit. So thank you for taking a crisis and taking a time that was so volatile and making the most out of it for the learners that you had, and you see the benefits already happening already. So thank you, Dikea, for sharing that vision. So let me ask you, Where do you see this next year? We have seen a significant increase announced in adult education funding for this next year. We are obviously seeing the continued evolution of planning and programming as it relates to synchronous learning and asynchronous learning in seat or hybrid virtual, like you mentioned. What are some of the priorities that you see for the next year for adult education within DPSCD?
Okay, great question. So within DPSCD, we just want to continue to focus on improving our performance metrics. We want to continue to increase the number of graduates from our program. We want to make sure that every person who earns their credential through our program is placed into a training program or a job in which they can receive a higher pay or a more advanced career opportunity. We want to make sure that we are doing all of those things to change the trajectory of our families that of the lives that we touch every day.
Where could someone who's interested in services, where could they go to find out more information about how to get it started in adult education? Should they go to the DPSCD website, or is it better to go to a career center and go there?
They can do both. They can, of course, get that information from the DPSCD website, or they can go to our career center located at the Durfee Innovation Society or the Ross Career Center as well.
Wonderful. And
Or
hopefully
they could
we'll,
call,
oh no,
or
go ahead.
they could call 313-873-7927 or 313-873-7929.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I hope that we can share this out and folks will let people know if they need more information about how to get it started enrolled. So as we come to a close, Dikea, you throughout this time just demonstrated your leadership abilities. You've demonstrated your willingness to listen to the participants that you serve, the staff that works underneath you, and really, I think that is so visionary to be responsive to the local community and the needs that are there and having those values upholded and being a great representative of the school district there. Is there when things are it's a wonderful day and even in those challenging days, is there like a quote or a motto, a mantra, anything like that that keeps you going? That in those celebratory times you say, yes, this is true, and on those days when sometimes it can be challenging too, is there just something that keeps you going, a thought or a question or a comment or anything?
The one thing that keeps me going is I just always think about just leading by example. And because I know that this program is so important to others, and I just want to make sure that I am being that servant leader, because I believe that if I help others, I'll automatically reach my goal. If I push up someone else, it'll help me get to where I'm trying to go. So I just want to be the person that can encourage someone, to motivate them, just stay encouraged, because I know this too shall pass. That's one of the mottos that I stand by, is that we're not going to stay in this moment. And I've learned that it's not the crisis in itself, but it's how you respond to it. So if we just remain focused on our goals and stay positive, we'll get through it, and things will be, the sun will shine the next day.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that inspiration. I hope that others that are listening, our colleagues, are inspired by that, and that's just so wise of you to share that. And you shared something at the beginning. I wrote it down, is that you said that this is the work of the heart, what we do. And I just want to thank you because I think your heart shines through in this interview and in your leadership. And it's not easy to bear our hearts in everyday work. It takes a toll on us. It takes a lot to always be evolving and changing and thinking about how to make things better. But I so appreciate that there's people like you in our profession that have that mindset and have that vision and have that clarity of mind to know that the sun will come out tomorrow and that we keep helping people get to where they are. And that is such a valuable asset. So thank you for your leadership, Dikea. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for being a member of our association.
Oh, thank you so much, Patrick. And I just want to give you your flowers. Thank you so much for your awesome leadership. MACAE has been a tremendous help in this journey because, as you know, my background is K-12 that I shared. So being in this adult ed space, you've been provided opportunities to grow professionally and to learn best practices, hear from other providers and other leaders in the program in this space. So that has been truly helpful. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I take that as well. Well, thank you again, Dikea Riley, for being here and being our guest on the MACAE Member Profile series. We so appreciate you. We will be back again very soon with another episode. For now, you can watch this video and all the other collection of videos on our website at macae.org. Also on our social media pages at MACAE Today. We will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.